Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 447th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, August 25th, 2022. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the Public Teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be host today, once again, in these weekly Knowledge Seekers workshops. And once again, we have the pleasure of being joined by Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, who will be delivering today's teaching and information. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you ready to begin today?
Yes. Good morning, good day to you, as usual. Wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers, Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, sharing knowledge with each other and amongst each other, and maybe sooner than we think. Today we are used to participants from different part of this planet. In a most probably repetition of the same number of teaching, we'll have teachers and knowledge sharers across the universe. The steps are getting faster. The approach to the final goal to bring man to universal community is getting much, much closer. As many of you are aware, we are testing. We have started testing in the different aspects of the transmutation and transportation, expansion of the energy fields of the man, the envelope, the soul of the life, that we can transmute man within the envelope of his own energy, not by some other means. We've had the pleasure of going back into the test table, going back onto having knowledge seekers who come from right across the planet to be here for a very short time. This week we had people from Mexico, we had people from the United States, we had others from Iran, and we had from Austria and other nations on this planet. We had the first, what we call man of color from the United States, who came for one day just to leave the fingerprint of Africa on the system. We're getting closer to the point that we'll come to understand the totality. This week, as we're setting the systems up, getting ready for the next step, 3 of our knowledge seekers who went through the process of expansion of the energy fields of the soul of the man, as our systems are already set, there need to be more or less fine-tuned and control system completed, went to the position of wanting, knowing they could move from one unit to another. This is already preset in the system, but it's not what we call connected, but they could not cross. And hopefully, within the coming days, within the coming weeks, we'll reach that point. We started transmutation and transportation. We have agreed for the first international transmutation, one of our knowledge seekers within the next few weeks, few days, as we pre-test. And for those of you who come to LIMS, and those of you who have signed in for mobile transmutation, and those of you who have signed in for what we call landing on the moon and Mars, you need to bring with you a letter of consent. You need to send us a letter of consent notarized, which means you give us the consent unconditionally, and you accept all responsibilities to be part of this experiment, to be part of this, what we call excursion. As we know, our human friends are going back to the monkey business on Monday of shooting up a rocket again into space to go around the moon and come back in 2 weeks. We wish them all the best. We wish them success in their endeavors as their, what we call, cycle of knowledge has to complete part of the knowledge of the man. We wish the NASA Corporation and all their team success with the launch on Monday. We hope they learn more, and in 2024, what they hope for 2025 will be there to land again. And by then, I hope many of you knowledge seekers will open a cafe and a restaurant and what we call a place for the men of the NASA to come in and stay with you while you're on the moon and on Mars. The development of the technology is rapid. The development of technology is so rapid that in a way it takes our own teams to understand it, that we can implement it. So when we see in 2025 or 2024, our human friends from Earth come to Moon and they encounter with you as the passengers of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, they might not recognize you as a human because you take a shape and a form to live on the moon, but carry your passport with them, tell them on Earth, this is my name, this is my passport. And try to understand more that we have to accept all knowledges and all sciences, and we cannot be arrogant in what we achieve more. Maybe even by then, NASA might abandon what we call this program. The reality with going further with this technology of transportation and transportation is that we have seen, and we start expanding the knowledge beyond. What does this mean? While we are teaching you, while we are testing on the systems for Moon and Mars, we are adding systems in the background, even without the knowledge of our own, what we call production team, systems to land you in different part of this galaxy. We have negotiated with the universal community and we have agreed where man can land. In a way, we will release the positions that man will land out of his own solar system, expected by 24-25, which means we will be able to transmit you back, which means we'll be able to bring you back to Earth, but at the same time, as you manifest yourself in a different dimension and direction, you'll be recognized as citizens of this planet. We have set out to achieve this, and it will take us what we call by trial and error, by understanding more, to be able to transmute energy packs and to transmute everything as an energy pack. Even the paper you carry in your pocket, the suitcase, will be carried as an energy pack, as a GANs of itself to convert to what it might look and stand on the position that you are at. These are the knowledges that has to be gathered, has to be understood, has to be extended. Many of you, by the time you come in for the what we call mobile transportation, you will see landing in a new space, new systems, and our transportation system has gone into operation of the production as of yesterday. In a way, what you saw as a vertical unit now is getting to take shape in reality. Then we do not need the systems which we have and you're testing in for transportation. We'll go back into the vertical system. But in these systems, it gives us an ability and possibility to do much more. It's a more compact. In a way, we have turned, if you look at it, the present system, which sits in a horizontal way, into a vertical way. So when you come into the next system of the what we call the Keshe Foundation testing, you might not even get to go into the present systems. You'll be transmitted through the new vertical system, which is getting built and will be done. The beauty with this is that allows us more capability. We came from the big units and then to these, and in a short while, you will see many of these, like the telephone kiosks around the place, people going to transmit. As I said to one of our knowledge seekers in the past few hours, please bring your passport, carry it with you, that when you land, we have to authorize, we have to inform the authorities in Austria and the country you go to, you are in a position to transmute. If they accept you for us to transmute, we cannot break law. And please, those of you who sign to be on the mobile transportation, those of you who come from the system to be done transmutation in the Linz Center, and those of you who have signed for the Moon and Mars mission, please carry a letter of consent and a passport with you. We need that, otherwise we will not do it. It has to be notarized. That is not by somebody just written. The whole structure of the change is understanding more about the field, understanding the reality, and in a way, moving away from a lot of dogmas which we have created in the world of science for ourselves, but not understanding the totality, we have created more mess with this. One of the things which we as knowledge seekers look in and understand more better than most of the physicists around the world is that in what we call, we go forward with the next step in what we want to do, what we want to add, and how we want to add things in. What does this mean? This means that at the present time, the present world of physics has a big problem with magnetic fields. We say we see fields bending near stars when there is a huge magnetic field. Otherwise, the magnetic field or light, which another shape or form of it, moves on the straight line. This is absolute hypocrisy. Because it'll come to you to understand from the beginning of it, how we got muddled up with this hypocrisy is that we draw our galaxies like this. We see our galaxies as a flat fields. How do they become like this? How does our solar system has an oval shape? Where does the fields bend? Where does the light of the fields bend? We accept part of the knowledge, and when it comes to other part, we deny it. Because it's suited for those who came up with it to hold on to what we call misunderstanding. This part of the, what I call the bending like Beckham, or bending it the way the fields will create interaction, is a cornerstone of the creation. When you create a stronger field interacting with a weaker field in any direction, you create the what we call deviation. And once we understand this, once we comprehend this process fully, those of you who were looking at what I call these systems will come to understand something very different. Even in our present enhancement unit, in the present enhancement unit, which you come and you travel, when you come in, you enter a space which is held by materials. We hold on to the reactors. But if we look at the stars, we look at the moons, we look at the planetary system, there is no frame of work with them. So the next step for us, instead of what you enter into the vertical or a horizontal, is creation of the field dimension rotation, that this field dimension rotation creates this physical condition. So in the next year or two, when you travel, when you enter, when you transmute, you transmute not in a box, not going into the framework, not going into the system, but creating the fields of the creation, and then within it, create a dimension of your soul to be in interaction with it, that it creates the transmutation. So in the next few years, the next step of the growth of the science and technology with the Keshe Foundation is not to build more vertical or horizontal or different system, but to create a dynamic field flow through the interaction of the field of your own soul with the soul of physicality, this dynamic, this what I call elusive part of understanding the knowledge, the science of creation. In a way, you enter the tornado of your own fields to be able to release the fields which entangle your soul, and with it, with the emotion of the soul, to transmute yourself to any position. As I said before, and in the past, we talk about things years ahead, but when you come to it in a few months' time, in a few years' time, you say, oh, in the teaching of 446 or 7, he said about this. Because this is the next step of the knowledge. This is the next step of understanding. And what we have done, what we set you up to do is, when you come to the what we call LINS flight zone, flight center, at the moment you have two systems here and here. We have a stand in the middle with some chairs. We ask some people if they want to be. The old, what I call dinosaur system, historical chairs are still there. But what we'll add to it in a coming time, there will be two systems here, which this will allow us to create that tornado. Which means you do not need to enter the systems. You enter the field forces, that your body now goes into the enhancement system, and you sit under what I call the helmet flight system, which are these in these corners, and then you see the expansion. In a new way, in the way that we are developing, that slowly everybody understands the process, you enter the room, and the creation of the tornado of the fields of your own soul and the soul of physicality will release your soul to be free from the shackles of physicality, and then you travel. In a way, in a very short time, in a very, very short time, there is no need for these systems. And once you learn how to walk, you can run, you can dance, and you can dance the whole of the universe through the dimension of the soul, understanding the bending of the fields of the universe into where you want to be. Transportation through interaction of the fields of the body of the man is one of the most powerful systems that man will come to understand and do. Then what happens to the soul when it travels? When you land in one solar system, you'll become part of one. When you land in another, you become another. It's the same as the fields of the soul of the Creator. As it expands, as it enters the atmosphere, the condition of the Milky Way and the solar system, and then the planetary Earth, it creates the life of man. What happened if the same ray goes to the same galaxy, to the same solar system, but this time on Mars? What would the life be? So, in a way, the soul of the man will become to behave the same as the soul of the Creator. But this time, as a soul of the man, you have the decision. You become the captain of your own soul. So, when you come to us in LINS in the next few weeks, as these new systems are getting developed, they're totally, very much the same, but totally different in the structure of the fields. We are preparing you for understanding for the release of that tornado. That you do not need a vertical system. You do not need a horizontal system. You do not need to do much. In a very soon, sooner than you think, will bring you as the knowledge seekers to collectively to interact during the teachings with the soul of the world leaders. The way I did a few weeks ago, going through the teaching of Rick. This time, we come to you through some of the teachings, and collectively we interact with the soul of our leaders to abandon wars, to elevate the souls, as we did before, and we left it to the Universal Council and the Earth Council and the what we call the core team to elevate the soul of the world leaders. Now we will do collectively. In a way, collectively, we will interact, understanding the what we call transmutation of the fields of a collective human race. The peaceful knowledge seekers will bring peace to our world leaders. We will bring collectively an end to war. If you understand the purpose and the position of this technology the way we have to do it. We were planning to do this today, but for some reasons, we will let it go for a while. But in a very short time, in some of the teachings, we'll call upon you to join as one soul, to elevate the soul of our world leaders and walk away from every conflict and prepare man for the next step to become man of the universe, to become a member of the universal community. The reason I abandoned it today is because soul of many of our knowledge seekers are not ready for that transportation, for that elevation, as we have to collectively to be the same. In a way, we are ready to change the mankind. In a way, collectively, as we've seen those who came to the system and they felt they wanted to go to the other system, then they want to go to the moon and they've been there. We had a gentleman yesterday who his purpose was to see the Christ, and he felt the field of emotion. We had another person for another desire. So if your desires are there and are met and changes you, now it's time to change the rest. Then becomes our collective desire to bring that. It becomes through the knowledge and the technology we have, a collective desire. As many of you around the world are together, we cross the souls of the world leaders from Australia to China, from South America to United States and Canada and Northern Europe, in Iran and the West. In a way, we become that envelope of love. In a way, we bring that change through by understanding the fields of the universe can be bent and elevated, and the light of the Creator does not travel on a straight line. It bends in every direction to create a just, beautiful creation. So even man, his physics, has made a bigger mistake by denying the truth about his own Creator. In the teaching of coming time, we do not show you how to make systems and how to do things, but we show how it's done. Because these systems do not need to be understood. The fundamental principle of transportation and transmutation needs to be comprehended by what are called the soul of physicality of the man, that allows the creation of that tornado, allows the creation of that motion to be where that tornado land and where that tornado will take off. It's the desire of the human race to be peaceful. But now we start creating that emotion, that condition. You throw gases in the rivers and the oceans and the fields and the trees. Now, collective soul of the knowledge seekers becomes that gas, that field that elevates the soul of the mankind. This is why we ask you to come in as many as you can. We had this week a man from Australia. We had people from Asia. We had people from Africa. We have reached people from Brazil and North America. And so the collective net of the evolution of the what we call creating the life of the peaceful man on this planet, for us this week became complete. It was interesting to have an Australian and a man the color of the skin of the black to be at the same time in the flying zone, in the same room. In beginning where it came, and in end where it ended in Australia. The two dimensions of the expansion of the physicality of the man, starting from Central Africa to the end last point of Australia and America. Same day, same time, going through the same process. In a way, we brought an end to the completion of all what we call travels of the physical dimension of the man. And now it's time to bring the soul of these physicalities to the dimension of travel, to the depth of the space and time. In the next few weeks, we have tested this before. If you remember, when we had the Italians with us, we told them to sit in the middle. Don't when you come out of the system. And they came and they had a party. That was a prelude to see how we interact with souls collectively. Now, the next step is when the Italians or the Germans or whoever comes in a very short time, you do not need to go into the system. But the system allows to create that, what I call the tornado within the system, within the structure of your soul. These systems are not all equal. And the way they set up, they will create a rotation of dimension. And in a way, the way in the units we interact with your soul with our system, now your soul within this room will interact with the field. In a way, you become part of the field. Your soul become part of the feeder and part of the condition. And then you will transmute much, much easier. Now you understand why we set up the enhancement units in this the way we have done. Now you understand what is the next step. Very soon, we announce the collective transmutation as a group. Let's say you're in Tehran, 4 or 10 of you, we transmit you directly into links, 4 or 10. In a short time, we will ask for you for 3 things as our system is getting set up. Those of you who go from transmutation by the mobile system, we need your GPS and we need your altitude, precisely. Don't guess your altitude because you might end up 2 meters away from the ground. It's a long way to fall. We want the space about 50 centimeters from the ground level. That when you fall, the fall is land is soft. If we don't stand up on your position. GPS for us is important to be able to position you the way it is. The condition for those who go beyond Earth, this will be set up directly through the understanding of the interaction of the fields to start with. And then we use the knowledge from the universal community to take it to different positions in galaxy. This is where the interaction of the fields of the work and the knowledge of the man will come in contact and development of what we call universal community, how to guide you to where they've been and how you can go, even though they do not have the knowledge for transportation of souls and physicality. As I said, the knowledge is growing rapidly. We cannot stop, we will not stop. We still carry on with developing the man's need today with the gas, electricity, the food and the rest. But on the other hand, as a multiple, multifaceted organization, the space technology will still carry on in a very rapid way. Those of you who have signed in for any of the systems, for mobile, for moon, for Mars, we soon offer you intergalaxy, what we call another position on this in this galaxy to travel. We will go through the same process, the same understanding, the same what we call transmutation and transportation. Many of you have just signed in. 3 days, if you have not completed your signing, your order will be cancelled. So we see a lot of people just making orders. Oh, I made an order. Your order within 3 days is cancelled. It is not confirmed and completed. The same is with the moon landing. The same is with the Mars landing. The same is with all your orders for your generators. 3 days, if it's not paid, I'll pay when I come, I collect, has no meaning for us. It has to be complete that we can complete our process. Everything has to be that we understand is not temperamental at the moment, but it's a conscious decision not to change. In the coming weeks, when we understand and when we bring you the position of the transmutation, we will be able to transmute you in any level, in any shape or creatures you like to come back into. You always wanted to see how a cat lives. Now, with the systems to be brought up, you can live that level of life. To see what you do wrong with your animals, to see how man has been doing wrong to them and what gives them pleasure. You want to see how the stone feels in the river and how a fish travels in the oceans. Now the transmutation is not just you as a man, the same, the transmutation you can choose as anything. Is the limitation of your own desire. The way you took off and you landed on moon and became man of moon, now through the essence of the soul of physicality, you can do to become the animal you love. To see what you've done with it. You do not become the cat, but you come to see the life and the desire, the same as you go to China and never spoke Chinese, don't look Chinese. Now you look Chinese, speak Chinese, but inside your soul of physicality, you know, I'm English, I speak English, but how come my words coming out as Chinese and understand everything? It's the same way. Then this way we understand how to change the totality of the life on this planet. What we done wrong, what we have not understood, and how much we can bring to bring the change, the good way for totality. It's the responsibility of the man to keep this planet is safe and correct. It's the responsibility of the soul of the man to understand the soul of the life on this planet too. Well, up to now, we were not aware of it. As I always say, now we are aware of it, we are responsible for it. We have to be. The way we can elevate our animals, not to kill, not to fight. What's the use when we change our leaders and Mr. Putin stands and sees a lion killing a cat, another animal? The elimination of the war, the elimination of what we call totality of the destruction has to be from all levels of the physicality of this planet. And it's the responsibility of the human race, it's the responsibility of you as knowledge seekers. Now that you know it, you have to change it. It's your responsibility. We are not a cult. We understand the process of creation. In past few days, many people say, my family say, I've joined the cult. Yes, you join the cult to be human. You join the cult to become perfect in everything, in every matter. And if this is a cult, this is a scientific understanding of the creation and not a cult. We are responsible. We are made, we are born to understand and be responsible for what we do. Those who call you you're a cult, tell them, this is a problem. You're already part of the cult. You think everybody else is like you. Greed, stealing, and everything else. You don't want to change your cult because in this cult, nobody steals. Nobody does because we understand the science, we understand the technology, that we can produce everything that we need and teach the others the same. We are a scientific organization and not a cult. The cult of stealing and thieving and killing has been the manner of the man to stop the others to elevate. Now we elevate our own soul to understanding of the science of it, that will not happen to the others. In so many ways, from now on, the steps are so fast that, as I always say, if you as knowledge seekers, you don't want to be a tomato, you better catch up with the knowledge we share. With the knowledge we dispense to you in a very soft way that it could be understood from the layman on the street to a professor of physics in what I call MIT. Even though the what I call a farmer in Africa understands more than a professor, because there are no balance of limitation of elements in his knowledge and gaining the knowledge. In the process of the teaching and what I call development, we have changed our course that we do not sit here and tell you connect this with this. We create a condition that through the work of it, you understand this is what needs to be done through the soul. We stop teaching of the physical condition of making the magraphs, connect this, connect that. Now we create a condition of the teaching your soul, which is much easier and much more profound. And in that way, I'm sorry, there are no magraphs for the brain for you to make, because your brain is already a magrav itself. You have to understand how it works. You have to understand how it interacts. In this process, we have no choice but to rapidly extend the knowledge. This week, we have offered the same knowledge to world-leading governments and organizations to bring that next step forward. We have opened, as we did during the crisis in Italy, we opened the factory of the Keshe Foundation and the knowledge seekers to help with the disaster in Italy, as many of you remember. We became part of the organization of what we call civil defense of it. To the same manner and the same way, this week we have offered the Keshe Foundation knowledge and technology to the IAEA, Atomic Energy Authorities in Vienna, that our technology can be used effectively and all our systems and knowledge systems available to support if one of the reactors in Ukraine goes wrong and we see a disaster. In a way, as of beginning of this week, Keshe Foundation has become as what I call disposed to the IAEA for any eventualities if we see Fukushima condition. This is how the Keshe Foundation works. And Mr. Grossi and the head of IAEA organization are fully aware in communications that the technology is there to be. We have no patent. We don't support any patents, but our knowledge is at the hand, and they will build to the what I call manner understanding of the nuclear technology that we become part of. If need be, this time openly, the last time we did very what I call in background with TEPCO. So if anything happens, most of you who have worries across Romania, Bulgaria, and the rest, what happens if something goes to wrong in the war in Ukraine, that Keshe Foundation, in that part of its operation, containing the radiation and anything that might happen, at the disposal of IAEA and the world governments to implement and deliver. Does not matter contamination, does not matter containing, does not matter holding and suppressing nuclear reactors to condition of what we call safe and what we call process. This is how it should be. When it comes to time of the trouble for the rest of humanity, Keshe Foundation knowledge is not just by opening patents, but it's opening factories, scientists, knowledge seekers to be there at disposal to help, to be there to give the guarantees that knowledge is there to support. We thank the Office of His Excellency, Mr. Grossi, in collaboration and understanding the work. And hopefully, if we see any more what I call wrongdoing in Ukraine regarding nuclear reactors, Keshe Foundation facilities, knowledge, technology, as was available to TEPCO, is available to IAEA and all governments to implement, to contain that the contamination does not harm more people than what we think should not be. This is those of you who take after me as my, what I call followers of the knowledge, and you lead this foundation. That should be your attitude and the way. In time of need, Keshe Foundation becomes as an NGO property of a nation, a continent, humanity, to safeguard its purpose. We have to understand that a nuclear reactor is very much the same as one of our systems in its. We can tame it, we can control it, we can bring it under full control to understand that even use its properties for other purposes, for other interactions, other safety. In being able to understand that we can bend the fields and change them into what we call the operation of the system. In the future, many of you will come to this point. Many of you become the decision makers on behalf of the soul of the Keshe Foundation, and you have to behave the same. You're there to serve. Does not matter time, place, and position, and not there to be served. And for this purpose, many of you, especially who are worried in border countries with Ukraine, we give you the surety the Keshe Foundation has completed. We carry on with the process with IAEA to safeguard the position, and if anything goes wrong with the nuclear reactors in Ukraine. Understanding this technology, understanding and applying and implementing the technology in the correct way, in understanding the process of what I call how we can create a tornado of the soul of the reactor, that it brings back itself to itself. We will not be constructed, but we have the ability to connect, to bring back the fields back to the source, the way we do with the soul of man. Go back to understanding. The writing of Baha'u'llah is today. Even a stone has a soul, let alone a collection of stones called plutonium and uranium. Is the understanding of the knowledge of the creation, which is the responsibility of every soul, does not matter in which dimension and direction, anywhere across the universe and the universe. In the coming time, we teach you more. We bring more knowledge to understand more and open your eyes to the totality of the knowledge of the creation, step by step. As they say in Armenia, Damascus, slowly, slowly, we bring you to that point. We bring you to understanding of the knowledge and transformation and transmutation. Transmutation and transportation is not the exclusivity of the soul of the man or the soul of the physicality of the man. It's inclusive to every being and every living things across the universe. And man has to learn to respect it as a package of energy which confirms life in one position, as a single field, as an omib you call it, or as a collective of fields, human body or galaxies or the universe. All has to be respected. Once we understand this, once we comprehend this, then we come to the point that we'll understand most of the knowledge of the creation and the creator. As a knowledge seekers, we showed you, as I said, how to make plans. As knowledge seekers, now we create a condition for you to be able to understand the power of your own soul, the composition and condition of it, and how it shall be. Understand the technology in its true sense and not by its dimension of physicality. And then we'll be at the point, at a position, then we'll be in the condition to elevate the soul of the, what I call souls created by the soul of the creator, irrespective of the time, place, and position. Then you understand why the universal community emulates the knowledge of man which is being gifted to it. This is the time and the place, as now Earth has become the center of the knowledge of the universe and the universe. And one day you will understand. One day your children and grandchildren across the universe will understand the respect of universal community for the race of the man and the love of the Creator shine through the love of Mitra and his children. Let's see what we come up with and how we stand the challenge. And let's see how many of you will go through that process of the transmutation of the soul and the physical. We'll go through a break and we come back. And I hope in a very few sentences of the teaching of past few minutes, you understood the totality of the knowledge of the creation and sometimes the hypocrisy of man about the little knowledge he knows and how he bends it to suit himself. Rick, if you like to go for a break and then we come back and we go through a normal procedure.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kesh. So let me get that lined up here. Just bear with me a second. Okay, this is the 447th Knowledge Seekers Workshop on Thursday, August 25th, 2022. We'll take a few minutes for some commercial ads here from the Keshe Foundation.